Hello, I'm Beth Veenkamp. I'm the Economic Development Officer for the City of Williams Lake, and I'm here to tell you about our project called the Williams Lake Hiring Initiative. So, like many EDOs across the province, we spend a lot of time talking about attraction and retention of skilled labor to our rural community. We spend a lot of time and money on things like photos and videos and different things, but it wasn't really getting us where we needed to be. We started down this road with a campaign called Business at its Best. And so the decision was that in order for businesses to be competitive, they needed to sort of shift into this new labor market way of thinking and be an employer of choice. And so we had a small project where we got employees to nominate employers who had really good hiring practices and workplace practices, and did a real good job of the retaining of employees. So that little campaign got us talking about the bigger issue that we have going on in Williams Lake. We have a labor crisis. Many places in the north and in rural areas have labor crises, and this is not new. This really came to a head for us in Williams Lake in 2017 when we had to evacuate our community because of the wildfires for 13 days. And we were really slow to be able to open back up because a lot of workers took the opportunity with the funds that they were able to kind of cobble together and the free rides out of town to just stay out of town. So a lot of our lower skilled jobs like supermarkets and pharmacies, a lot of those workers didn't come back. So this has been something that's been a topic in our community for quite some time now. And employers, when we talk to them, they're citing this as their number one issue that's impacting their business development. So we wondered if immigration might be the solution for us. And we started down this road and started interacting with the different ministries responsible, and discovered really quickly that getting into immigration was a big, huge task and very complex and complicated. We thought, okay, basically, if Joe the mechanic is not able to find skilled workers locally, would immigration be a solution for him? But how does Joe the mechanic even start to navigate the different processes? So we thought, well, let's see if we could create something that would help that kind of employer out. So initially we applied to the Rural Dividend Program, the good old days of the Rural Dividend, and the Rural Dividend Program people actually came to us and said, we think what you have is actually a better fit for this program called a labor market partnership. So we applied for a labor market partnership, and that's a program that's out of the Ministry of Social Development. And we were awarded funds to start the Williams Lake Hiring Initiative. Our project steering committee for this program was what we call in Williams Lake our business development partners. So we have a group that's come together, particularly since the wildfires. We've really kind of come together as a group, and so we have representatives from our local community futures, from our local chamber. Our Work BC Employment Services Office has a real big role to play in this, as well as our downtown Williams Lake Association. So we had a steering committee formed and we got to work. So we hired a project consultant. So with the funds from the labor market, we were able to hire a consultant, and we got to work. So we started with one-to-one employer sessions. And so those were a blend between sort of information gathering, what are the challenges our employers having when it comes to hiring and recruiting talent, and they kind of morphed into coaching sessions, making sure that they were using the most up-to-date job boards and were really doing the best they could to promote their job out into the larger community, not just our local community. Along the way, we heard very loud and clear that there were two sort of crisis level things going on. One in healthcare with healthcare assistants, and one with early childhood educators. So our consultant was able to sort of dig into these two areas and try to create some pathways for both of these sectors to ramp up their hiring. One of those things that resulted out of that is we've got a new Vantage Living Center in Williams Lake, and sort of over the course of time, basically the education pipelines are not they're not quick enough to really respond to this labor crisis. So Vantage Living has actually started offering a healthcare assistant program right within their facility. And those students do a combination of learning and practical right within the facility here in Williams Lake. So that was fairly innovative. We're looking at doing something to help our ECE sector. That's something that we're really lagging in as well. And so from this project, we've got a couple irons and fires, and we're trying to move the needle a little bit in that regard as well. We also did 2 special events and information sessions. The first event that we did was, it was a great event. We held this in October of 2019, and it was an information session for the community on immigration. And we were really fortunate to be able to pull up some team members from the BC Provincial Nominee Program, as well as our outreach officer from Immigration Canada were in attendance. So it was a really great evening. We had a really great crowd come out. We were really impressed, and those employers were able to speak one-to-one with those representatives and learn a little bit more about immigration. In January of 2020, we hosted a Networking After 5 event. One of the things we discovered along the way is that Williams Lake can recruit a professional, but what does that professional's spouse do? And there's limited opportunities for a couple coming to town, and maybe one has a profession and the other one has to find a place to land. And so what we found is that we are woefully lacking in networking opportunities where people can just get to know one another. So we tested this through this project, and again, you'll see our business development partners were all represented, and we had a Networking After 5 event in January of 2020. And then we were cruising along, doing great things, and then COVID hit, and that really interrupted our plan to do more of that community outreach that we wanted to do with this project. But we quickly pivoted into providing resources to employers on how to handle all of the different aspects of keeping your workforce going and safe, and abiding by all of the laws and legislation and all of the different things. So we were able to really quickly through this project get some information out to employers on how to manage their remote teams, different aspects. We also got busy producing our guide, and our guide is the real key outcome from this project, and our key deliverable that we had from the labor market partnership. And so in June of last year, we finished the production of our guide called You've Got Talent. And this is written for Caribou and Chilcotin employers. We really wanted this to be bigger than the city of Williams Lake. So we've got a great region here in the Caribou, and all of our EDOs are connected. And in fact, we worked on a labor market study last year. So this was written for the lens of the whole Chilcotin, and it's available freely to anybody. One of the keys of this guide, and the piece that we're really proud of, is we've got 11 pages of this 40-page guide that is dedicated to sort of demystifying the whole hiring a foreign worker. So we've taken literally hundreds of different websites and links and rabbit holes that you can find on the internet, and we've tried to make it as concise as possible for an employer. So we were really thinking about how is Joe the mechanic going to use this and be able to recruit some staff for their shop. We also, I'd have to give a shout out to both the teams at the BC Provincial nominee program, as well as Heather Bichot from Immigration Canada. They vetted this content, and I really have to thank them for their time that they took to help us kind of get this out there for employers in a way that's more accessible than the government websites. Also in our guide, we've got different sections regarding HR planning, recruiting, and managing a workforce. We've got some great sections in there about managing a multi-generational workforce, how you're recruiting, HR planning tools. So it's a very useful, comprehensive guide that we hope is going to make a difference for employers. So we finished that in June, and we really wanted to end this program strong, but we were, of course, with a bunch of restrictions. So we decided we were going to host Williams Lake's first tailgate event, and so we did that. We did some advertising in the newspaper. We let people know that the guide was available, and at the top there, we were recognizing our employers that were nominated by their employees as being those employers of choice. We did a second annual run at that Business at its Best program. So we held our tailgate at the end of June last year. We used our a big parking lot that we had available at our Tourism Discovery Center. We live streamed the event, and we had different speakers from different sectors in our community talking about how they were recruiting and how as a community we could do a better job of sort of filling in the gaps for different organizations that were all essentially trying to do the same thing. We had so we had representative from the school board there. We had Child Development Center. They do a lot of recruiting. Pictured there are two of our local physicians, because recruiting healthcare professionals and physicians is something that's always on the mind of rural communities. And it was a really great event. We had about 36 cars all lined up, and we hope to be able to do some more of that this spring to get people back together. One of the things we want to tell the world is that when you come to Williams Lake, every door is the right door. So we're really proud of how we've come together as a business development community, and we call it our economic development team. We really want to ensure that no matter what door a newcomer to Williams Lake walks into, that they're getting referred to the most appropriate organization, and that we know what the mandates are for each organization so that we can make really good referrals. And we've done a really good job of that in town, I think. So that is our You've Got Talent hiring guide. That is available on our website, free download. And I would encourage anybody to get online and get a copy of it. And those immigration pages, super valuable for employers. So please feel free to direct people to that.